Thank you so much, and we'll get started in just 1 second. Looks like everybody is on their own computer today. If by chance you happen to be with others, please do just drop me a note. St. Mary's, I know sometimes you are in a group. CUNA, I know sometimes you're in a group. So please just let me know. Bickle staff, sometimes I know you are also. So just let me know. Very happy to see you all today. I got it. Oh, good. Thanks, Project STEM. Appreciate it. I didn't mention you. I'm sorry. All right. Okay. We'll give folks 1 more minute and then we will be ready. I definitely want to honor your time. Some of you have been logged on quite early and that's pretty great. So let's make sure we honor that time. Okay, here we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Really good to see you. I've had the chance to work with so many of you directly. So happy to see your names. And for those of you who I haven't had a chance to actually be in your schools, I really appreciate the time as always to be with you. So welcome and happy to have you here. We're going to start as we always do with an inclusion activity. So if you will type into the chat box, hopefully it's almost spring. In Washington, we are not quite in the area of spring yet, maybe pretty close, but we are not quite there yet. But what is your favorite outdoor activity in the spring? Will you type that into the chat box? Favorite outdoor activity in the spring. We'll see what you say. Readiness said some things I didn't expect. So we'll see what you say today. See, mushroom hunting. Staying inside to avoid allergies. Oh yes, rafting, great time to be rafting, watching baseball, working outside in flowers, excellent. Watching them grow and bloom. Hi, Jamie. Beautiful. What are your favorite outdoor activities in the spring or maybe inside because of allergies? Hiking, great. Excellent. Great job. Crafts, me too. I don't know why, Michelle, but the springtime is a time for me that I get really crafty and I'm not really sure why. So that's interesting. That's the same for me too. Yes. All right. Welcome everybody. And thank you for that. Appreciate that. Some of you did say gardening today. It was very interesting because a week ago in the readiness session, none of them said gardening, and that totally surprised me because I thought that might be something they would type, but they did not. But nobody wrote mushroom hunting last week, so that's pretty cool too. All right, welcome. Here are the goals for today. Very specific. We are going to go very narrow today in our work because it's really important that we understand a couple of the basic pieces with multisyllabic instruction and that we get really good at this now, especially at this time of year, especially first grade on up. Kindergarten teachers not nearly so focused here as multisyllabic work, but first grade and up, this is work that could apply all the way through your school. So we're going to deepen our understanding of research-based research validated approaches for multisyllabic word instruction. We're going to increase our expertise in what instructional routines would be strong for multisyllabic instruction. And then, of course, we will practice and collaborate. So as we know, students with dyslexia and or struggling students often have a hard time breaking down big words. And when they have trouble breaking down big words, it has to do with a couple of tricky things. Number one, because there are so many graphemes, and we've talked about this for quite a while, there are so many graphemes for them to remember for one sound. So as you can see on these sound spelling cards, and there's the picture of a moon, the sound of ooh, there are 6 spellings represented on this sound spelling card. So that's tricky for dyslexic students and struggling students to map all of those phoneme grapheme relationships, and as we've talked about. And then on the bottom, there are because there are words with complex letter patterns, that puts a pretty big burden on a student's memory system, on their working memory. And then that contributes to them struggling with multisyllabic words. Not only are the words big, they have multiple parts, but each of those parts may have some tricky spelling patterns, which puts an extra burden on our students' working memory. Here is, and this comes from a document, and we are happy to put this document up on the Padlet. It is a very full, thick document. We just pulled a couple of pieces out of it today, and it's by from Kearns and Whaley, and it's a pretty recent publication. These are some of the common multisyllabic reading word errors. The first one is, this is the one that typically happens for struggling readers. They look at the first 3 sounds and then guess after that. So in the word adventure, they guess ADV, those are the first 3 sounds, and then they add in any word that they can think of that has those beginning letters or beginning sounds. That's the most common error that students make with multisyllabic words. They get the first little bit and then they guess from there. In the word amid, they may take that as a long A. Amid is a plausible pronunciation. It's a possible pronunciation, but they use the long A instead of the schwa. That's common also. Beautiful, they say the B and the T correctly, but they get the vowel pieces wrong. There are 3 vowels together in that word, and they may just put a vowel replacement in there. They also don't notice the base word, which is beauty, and then the suffix is full. Drop the Y, change it to I, and add the suffix. So they don't really notice the base word of beauty and then the suffix. They actually just put a vowel in there and then say a word that they think sounds close. Glorious, they forget the suffix. Decent, they may use the sound instead of the CE for this sound. Inability, they take that word apart, but are trying to use meaningful parts. So it might be unable TT, unable tie, unable T. So you get kind of the idea that students who really struggle use all kinds of strategies that are actually ineffective for them and don't really yield success with those words. So we're going to talk today about 2 strategies to use for multisyllabic word reading. There's a really, really important concept here that there's a syllable-based approach where they are actually looking at breaking down each syllable. And then there's a morpheme-based approach, which is where they look for the prefixes, suffixes, the word parts, and then the base word. When we teach students to break down big words, both of them are important, and you'll see why in just a little bit. In our own repertoire, our own teaching repertoire, we need to be able to have both of these tucked into our tool belt and to know when to use each one. So let's start on syllable-based just to begin the work together today. So the syllable-based strategy, let me go back for a second. Many of you teach first grade and up. Multisyllabic words come in for students about in the middle of first grade. Will you type in, and even if you're not sure, that's okay. Will you type in which approach you use most commonly when you're teaching students how to break down multisyllabic words? Do you use a syllable-based approach, a morpheme-based approach, or you could even say, I'm unsure which approach I'm using, or I'm unsure if I'm teaching multisyllabic with either one of those. That would be absolutely okay. So will you please type into the chat box, which approach do you think you might be using? And whatever you type is okay. Syllable, syllable, syllable. Great. Lots of syllable work. Okay, excellent. You know, yeah, so far, 100% syllable so far. All right, great. Well, and part of the reason for that approach is that most of our reading programs work through a syllable-based approach. If you are teaching rewards, maybe for intervention, rewards often uses a morphemic-based approach where you look for the prefix, look for the suffix, find the base word, blend them together. So, but most reading programs work with a syllable-based approach. So not surprising at all. All right, let's take a look. In order to identify syllables in a written word, here's what students need to know. They don't need to know necessarily syllable division, but what they do need to know is that syllables always have a vowel and always have a vowel, oftentimes a vowel combination, but syllables always have a vowel. So, for example, AU, for example, just short O, all syllables have a vowel. One of the effective strategies that we use is to use the vowel first blending routine and then chunk those words into syllables. So we spot the vowel, read the syllable, spot the vowel, read the syllable, blend those syllables together. And then if we need, spot the vowel, blend the syllable, blend them all together. So that is an effective syllable-based strategy. So we're going to talk about that, and this may be similar to what you have been doing. In the literacy routine map, I'm going to pull that up now. In the literacy routine map, we have recorded, and it's not a long video, but it is one that you could look at. So will you just confirm? Oh, sorry, I have one thing I need to do real quickly. I apologize. I didn't have these things clicked and you wouldn't be able to hear it. All right. So we're going to take a look at the syllable-based approach. This is a very short video with only 2 words, but you will kind of get the idea. Before I show this, the idea is spot the vowel, read the syllable, spot the vowel, read the next syllable, blend. If there are more, spot the vowel, read the next syllable. So that is really kind of the syllable-based approach, not necessarily syllable division. A lot of programs are teaching syllable division, but not necessarily an instructional routine for how to teach students to blend multisyllabic words. Would someone type into the chat box, yes, that you can see the video that's in front of you? I haven't played it yet, but you just type yes, just so I can see that we have it. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's take a look at this and then we'll come back and talk about it and model a little bit more and then we'll practice. All right, ready? Here we go.
Let's take a look at how we might support students with multisyllabic decoding. Prior to doing this work, it's important that all of the spelling patterns have been taught that you're going to use within the words. So that's the first thing. Be sure that each multisyllabic word that you're working with has spelling patterns in it that you have already taught. Then you're ready to put in this kind of a strategy. It's one kind of strategy. So you'll cover the second or third syllable, leaving the first syllable exposed, and your fingers are really underneath the vowel pattern, because what we know about students who struggle is that they often don't see the vowel pattern first. So we point that out, and then we blend that syllable, and then we move forward through the word. So we go like this: sound, ow, blend, out. Sound, I, blend, side. Blend, outside, word, outside. Here's the next one. Sound, ah, blend, land, suffix, ing, blend, landing, word, landing. So you probably noticed with the suffix, we didn't sound it out because I've already taught them this suffix. I wouldn't put in a prefix or a suffix that I haven't taught yet. And then I teach them how to sound that word out using suffix. So it would be sound a, blend, land, suffix, ing, blend, landing, word, landing. So I'm pretty explicit with my instructions. Number one, I point out the vowel pattern. Number two, we blend that syllable. Number three, we go to the next one. And if it's a vowel pattern, we do it all over again. If it's a prefix or a suffix at the end of the word or the beginning of the word, I call that out as a prefix or suffix. Then we blend all of the syllables together. Then we come back and we read the whole word. This strategy helps students be able to break down small words. So if you were not inclined to cover, you wouldn't have to. You could say sound ow, blend out, sound I, blend side, blend out, side, word, outside. So that would be a-okay as well. A lot of times with struggling readers, we cover that syllable so they can just focus on the one. When you take the stickies off as you go, no need to go back and cover these. You can just leave them open. They'd already read them. So that's one strategy with multisyllabic decoding.
All right. Will you type into the chat box while we reset? How might that routine be similar to or different than what you have been doing with multisyllabic work? That is a syllable-based routine. How is that similar to or different than what you have been doing in terms of multisyllabic instruction? All right, let's take a look and see how might it be similar to or different than. All right, let's see. I underline the vowel pattern instead of pointing. Excellent. That's a really great strategy as well, especially at the beginning when kids need a little bit of support there. Absolutely great to underline. Once they get to where they have the idea about that vowel pattern, that you could take that scaffold back and then there your finger is there. Excellent job. And really nice. In the past, vowel first blending with smaller words. Yeah. So it's the same thing, vowel first blending, and then these are just bigger words, right? All right. Now having the kids focus on the vowel first. Excellent. Great. Great. Similar as modeled by corrective reading. I think that's what you said. All right. Beautiful. Not sound by sound blending. Right. Right. It's not sound by sound blending. And especially when we get to those big words. And then Kristen, when you've got the older kids for sure, right. We want to spot the vowel, read the syllable, spot the vowel, read the syllable. Excellent job. Good job. All right. So now let's take a look here at a couple of words, and I'm going to stop for just a second, stop my share, and see if I can pin my there you go, pin my work, and I want to show you a couple of things. So if I have the word magnet, it is, sorry, sound a blend, sound a blend mag. Sorry about that. Sound blend net, blend magnet, word magnet. So that's a pretty easy one. One of the words that I just wanted to bring up that we're going to practice in a second is uses a dropped E. And a dropped E is really an important tool as you are doing multisyllabic work, because we want to be sure that kids see the right base word. So I cover, sorry, there you go. I cover and I keep that I consonant E together. So it is sound I, blend, thrive, sound ing, blend, thriving, word, thriving. If I don't cover that, this looks like a short I, and the real word, the base word is thrive. So I want to be sure that I have my dropped E. We've talked about this a little bit. We just want to bring it back up. Sound, oh, sorry. So it would be sound I, blend, thrive, suffix ing, blend, thriving, word, thriving. All right. So we want you to have a chance to do a little bit of practice here. And here are the 4 words that we would like you to blend. So you need a little Post-it. If you don't have a little Post-it handy, that's absolutely okay. Just write the 4 words. And then you're just going to cover them. You can cover them with your left or right hand. And then just work your way through the word. But we want you to have a time to practice. So if you'll write outing, magnet, thriving, masterful. If you have a Post-it to write a drop E, that would be fantastic. And masterful has 3 suffixes or 3 2 syllables and a suffix. So you would be covering the first one, open it up, cover the second one, open it up, and do the suffix. Okay. All right. So will you take 2 minutes and practice these 4 words on your own, and then just type done when you are ready in the chat box so that I will know you are ready. Vowel first. So tap the sound ow, blend out, suffix ing, blend, outing, word, outing. Okay. And then just type in done when you have practice. That way I'll know you're finished. Great. Several of you are done. Nice job. Okay. Excellent job. So when we think about a syllabic approach or a syllable approach, this really helps students with spot the vowel, read the syllable, spot the vowel, read the syllable. If we were to look at the word like magnet, magnet has no prefixes or no suffixes in it. So then we really have to use a pure syllable blending approach. With outing and thriving and masterful, we could look at the suffix, then go back and read the base word and blend them together. We could look at that, or we could use a syllable-based approach. It really has to do with how we where our students are and how we are thinking about supporting their work. So magnet would be a pure syllable blending approach. And then with the other 3, they could have a bit of a morpheme approach, as we will look at in just a second. Okay, anything that was new for you, or did that feel, with those words, did that feel very similar to what you have been doing? So if it is new for you, this syllable-based blending, will you just type that in, new for me, and then tell me how well you felt in doing it? Or if it felt pretty rhythmic and pretty comfortable, will you just type that in the chat box as well? I want to make sure before we move on. everybody. Oh, great. Thank you, Mary Beth. I love it. Okay. Need some practice. Great. Good. Felt good. Great. Beautiful. Beautiful. Uncomfortable. New. Needs practice. Needs practice. Good. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that great, Mary Beth? That sticky note is amazing. And the dropped Y is amazing too. You need a dropped Y card. Yeah. Good. Okay. So love the sharing of oh sure. I would be happy to demonstrate masterful. As a matter of fact, I can demonstrate any of those if you wish, or if you have a word not too tricky, because I haven't practiced it maybe. I am happy to do that. All right, let me stop my share so you can see me and put on a pen so that you can see me pretty well. All right, so here we go. It would be, and when I hold this up, is it backwards for you or is it okay? I'm not sure if I have my mirroring on. Is it okay if I hold it up this way? Is it correct? Thumbs up. Angela, yeah, it's okay. Okay, here we go. So, and I wanted to mention one thing too. A super refinement to this would be that I would say short sound, or for those of you teaching ECRI, it would be first sound. And here's why. If I just say sound, some kids are going to say A and some are going to say and they are not really, this does say A and it does say So I want to be very clear about what I'm asking them to give me. And here I'm asking for the short sound. So I would say short sound, blend, mass. Sorry, I normally use a Post-it. See if I can do this here. Sound, blend, blend, master, suffix, full, blend, masterful, word, masterful. Does that help? Is that good, Jennifer? All right, awesome. So it has a little bit of a mix, right, between some syllable blending and some prefix suffix blending when you get to that, if you have some of those. All right, so here, let's start with the idea. This is pretty important. Oh, sorry. I keep clicking in the wrong space. Here we go. Let's take a look at the next approach, which is going to be the morphemic approach. Both of these approaches are good. It's important to know which one you're using and why you're using it. So a morpheme-based approach is when we are working with words that are longer, they have longer graphemes, or when we are really wanting to be able to help kids with efficiency, because morphemes are meaningful units. Prefixes and suffixes and base words are all meaningful units. And most words, if you divide them by morpheme, there are fewer parts. That makes the decoding easier. The other more important piece is the second bullet, in that the words have, morphemes have meaning. And when the morphemes have meaning, it is easier to understand the unknown word. If I'm only going to use syllables, like say in the word masterful, let's say I use a syllabic approach, masterful. I don't know the meaning of the suffix, which means full of, and then I'm not looking necessarily at the root word, which is master. So I may not be able to understand the meaning of this new word, even though I can pronounce it. So the research is suggesting that when we can, we go to a morpheme-based strategy. When the words have morphemes, that once kids understand the idea, that we go to a morpheme-based strategy. And here's why. This is one of my favorite slides. If you look at the top and you look at this word, pseudo hypoparathyroidism, And you look at the top, the base word is thyroid. And it has 4 suffixes or 4 prefixes and a suffix, 6 morphemes, 6 word parts. If you look down below that word, there are 12 syllables. So I could teach kids to blend through those syllables, but by the time we get to the 8th, 9th, 10th syllable, I kind of have to go back and do it again, right? It doesn't really help me. Because there are so many parts. The other important part is that if I'm using the morphemes, I can kind of have an idea of what this word means. Pseudo means false or fake. So pseudo, fake, fake. Hypo meaning over, para meaning, I forgot the meaning of para, thyroid. So fake, fake, over something, thyroidism. Oh, this is a medical term. It's about the thyroid, and it is about fake and over, potentially fake and overactivity. Now I can use the context and the rest of the sentence to help me be sure about that word. When I look at the syllables, it does not help me with this meaning of this word at all, not a bit. So let's look at the word down below. I love this word. It used to be the state fish of Hawaii. And when I was a very young kid, I taught myself to pronounce this word. It's huma huma nuka nuka wapa waha. And it used to be called the state, used to be the state fish in Hawaii. So it is only one base word. So that will not help us, right? It is one morpheme. So now I still don't know how to pronounce it by using a syllable-based approach or a morpheme-based approach. So now I do have to go down to those syllables and just work at remembering them. Humu, humu, nuku, nuku, owapo, wahu. So I just have to work my way through the word and teach myself to remember those syllables, because there is not a morpheme base to this word, because it's just one base. But the pseudo hypoparathyroidism really illustrates that difference between breaking words apart in a syllable or breaking them apart by word parts and understanding the meaning. So what might be some thoughts that you have, para, alongside or beside? Thank you. All right, so now I know fake, fake, over, alongside the thyroidism. All right, I could get close to that, I think, by the time I looked at this sentence. So will you just type in some thoughts in terms of the idea of teaching multisyllabic words through morphemes compared to syllables in terms of efficiency for kids and knowing their meaning? So just type in some of your thoughts into the chat box for just a minute. Yes, exactly. Exactly. I really love the sharing there, and I'll pull that forward in just a second. It does make more sense, doesn't it? And this is not typically placed in our reading programs, and we aren't often taught how we would think about both of these strategies. Yeah, okay. So this may help comprehension for students who struggle. Absolutely. What we know is if they could look by word parts and get the base word, those smaller chunks, they actually would have the meaning of the word compared to just pronounce it. Yeah, beautiful. All right, so let me go up. Isn't that nice to have some different options? We will look at this a little further. So wondering how to structure it, ensuring that students know the morphemes before they read the word. All right, so let's take a look at that for just a second. Let me see if I can pull that up on the literacy routine map. I'm not sure that I have that one queued up, but I think, yeah, let me do that really quickly because this is really helpful. Now let me share this with you. All right, so this is also on the literacy routine map. And this is one way to go about having students truly master prefixes and suffixes. So what we notice with instruction and reading programs is that it may say you're working with the suffix ed and the suffix s this week, but it doesn't give you an explicit routine to teach the students both the pronunciation and the meaning. So let's just take a quick look at this routine. It might be something to offer you for explicit instruction with those routines before you would introduce the suffix and prefix in a word. Will someone just confirm, yes, you can see this, just so I make sure I don't play it without. Yep, okay. All right, this is just how you might introduce prefixes and suffixes systematically.
Let's talk about how we might support our students with prefix and suffix knowledge. This helps unlock the pronunciation and meaning of unknown words. So we would be a my turn, your turn, so that students aren't guessing at the pronunciation or the meaning of the affixes that we're working with. So it's pretty simple. My turn, prefix re. Your turn, prefix re. My turn, meaning again. Your turn, meaning again. So to introduce them, we're very explicit. My turn, prefix. My turn, suffix. And then my turn, meaning. Your turn, meaning. After we have taught students the pronunciation and the meaning for a couple of days, then we can do some review. So let me show you what that would look in real time. My turn, prefix, re. Your turn, prefix, re. My turn, meaning again. Your turn, meaning again. My turn, prefix s. Your turn, prefix s. My turn, meaning more than one. My turn, prefix miss. This is a suffix, by the way, sorry. My turn, prefix miss. Your turn, prefix miss. My turn, meaning wrong or badly. Your turn, meaning wrong or badly. My turn, prefix un. Your turn, prefix un. Meaning not. Your turn, meaning not. Then, if we are just reviewing, I can say prefix, meaning, suffix, meaning, prefix, meaning, prefix, meaning. You notice that I probably said s here instead of prefix, suffix s. And that is because we want students to give the sound. When they are blending unknown words, they don't say dog, s, they say dogs. So we want them to give the sound, not the name of the prefix or the suffix. Hopefully that's helpful with prefix and suffix work.
All right, will you type into the chat box, how might that have been helpful, or how is that similar to what you have been doing with explicitly teaching students prefixes and suffixes? How might that be similar to, different than, or thoughts about teaching students with prefixes and suffixes? Oops, sorry. All right, let's see. Similar for struggle. Very similar. Okay, excellent. I'm going to actually do ED. Very fast and efficient. Absolutely right. The idea is that we do not take a ton of time here in terms of teaching them the prefix suffix work, and that when we do that, we teach them directly the meaning of the word also. So when we do the prefix suffix work, we want to be efficient and very explicit. So let me give you a tip with the ED. So ED is very tricky for kids, and here's how I do this. And here's how we usually work with students with it. So with ED, there are 3 sounds oh, sorry. There is the sound, the sound of t, the sound of d, and the sound of id. So if you have an unvoiced sound, like in jump, then you use the, sorry, I usually write it over here. You use the t sound. If you have a voiced sound, like in start, oh, that was an id, started, stand, and this one is when you have a T or a D. This one is when you have a voiced sound. I can't think of a word right this second. Bug, like she bugged me. So that the g is a voiced sound. So you would use the d ending. So that comes from an unvoiced, like jump. There's no voice here. So it's jumped. And here in bug, the g is voiced. So you would use the d sound. And then with T or D, you use the id sound. So sometimes I don't teach that to children directly, but if you have older kids who are able to really think about this, it is absolutely okay to talk to them about the voiced sounds, unvoiced sounds, and a T or a D. So it really would go like this. My turn. Suffix first sound, t. Suffix first sound, t. Suffix second sound, d. Suffix second sound, suffix third sound, id. Suffix third sound, my turn, meaning happened before. And oftentimes I have that written down here. Meaning, good job, your turn. Suffix first sound, suffix second sound, suffix third sound, meaning happened before. ED is very tricky. And so a lot of times we will use that approach to be super explicit. Will you just type into the chat box while I pull the PowerPoint back up? How might that be helpful for you, or how might that be similar to the way you've been doing it in terms of just the ED suffix? And this would be for really even kindergarten works on ED sometimes, for sure, first grade and up. Very helpful, huh? And a regular routine. Yep, that's right. It might confuse them. So you could start with the first one. One of the tricky things is that reading programs put all three of those sounds for ED in pretty early. So what I notice with first grade kids is if you just quickly teach them, I wouldn't teach them first graders all of the voiced and unvoiced. I'm just explicit. I say first sound, second sound, third sound, it. And then we go on. So I wouldn't teach them about voiced and unvoiced. It's important for us to know, but not necessarily for kids with all of those words. So really good point. Older elementary, exactly. That's right, Teresa. Still surprising to older kids that there are three sounds. Excellent. Three sounds in for it. Good for you. Yep. All right. So maybe that will help you. All right, excellent. So here we go. A morpheme, just to review, is the smallest part of a word that has meaning. Morphology is the study of morphemes in a word. And we want to build students' morphological awareness, aware that the words are put together with parts that have meaning. Prefixes, suffixes, Greek and Latin base words, and root words. In the Padlet for today's work, this PowerPoint will be there. And also, I believe there is a list of the 20 most common prefixes and the 20 most common suffixes. So if you happen to want to refer yourself to, and in that chart, it has prefix and the meaning, and then it has the use of it with some sample words. So for me, I use that chart when there are prefixes and suffixes I don't know the meaning of, which that is not uncommon for me. So I was not directly taught the meaning of very many morphemes. So I would go back to that chart because I want to be very efficient for kids. Prefix slide, meaning slide, and I don't want to mess around. I want kids to learn it quickly the first time. So if that chart is not on the Padlet, I will look today and we'll do it right. I'll put it on right after. All right, so let's see here. How many morphemes are in the word teach? Meaningful unit. How many morphemes are in the word teach? Please type it into the chat box. Okay, let's see. How many morphemes? Yep, one morpheme. Nice job. All right, how many morphemes in the word teacher? How many morphemes in teacher? Yeah, excellent. 2. ER, the suffix ER means one who. So with teacher, it is one who teaches. Then how many morphemes in the word teachers? How many morphemes in the word teachers? Great. Yes. There are 3 morphemes in the teachers. It is more than one who teach. So ER is one who, and the S makes it ones who, more than one who teach. So there are more than one who teach in the word teacher. Now do salamander. How many morphemes in salamander? All right, this is a tricky one, 17. That's my favorite answer ever, actually. Whenever you're not sure, just say a whole bunch. That's my favorite answer ever for that word. All right, so let's take a look and see. Let's take a look. It is one morpheme. And that's tricky because we put that ER in there on purpose because when you have ER, it is not always a suffix. And it is not one who salamans. So that's one way kids can also tell, is it a prefix or a suffix? Is it a morpheme? Because if it were it would be one who, and then the base word would be salamand, which isn't actually a word, one who salamans. But it is one unit. So we put that in there because it's kind of tricky for kids. Whenever they learn about the ER morpheme and they learn one who, they want to put it everywhere. And you have to look carefully with that. So just for fun, and I love 17, it was my favorite answer. Oops, sorry, gave you the answer. How many morphemes in instruction? All right. Okay. It is actually 3 morphemes. In is a prefix. ION is the suffix. The base word is instruct, and in and ION are both prefix and suffix. So just for fun, just a little bit of playing. All right, so the morpheme-based strategy is called a peeling off strategy. So when you teach rewards or when you teach children to first look at the affix, then the base word, then blend it together, then they reassemble that word and read it fluently. So this is called a peeling off strategy. And it really works with word parts. So let me see if I can pull up the literacy routine map one more time and see if I can get the word parts piece up. All right. Here we go. So let me make sure I can share it with you. So this is an example of the peeling off strategy in the word landing. Ready? Here we go.
Let's look at another way we might approach multisyllabic words. So one of the first steps we would say is, do you see any prefixes or suffixes? So in this word, students would say, yes, I see the prefix ing. Nice job. Now let's go
Suffixing.
back to the front of the, or sorry, see the suffix ing. Now let's go back to the front of the word. So they would spot the vowel, a, blend, la, suffix ing, blend, bland, ing, word, landing. So one of the first strategies we teach students is look for prefixes and suffixes. Sometimes students underline them. Here's the suffix ing. Now let's see if we can read. And you could even do it without that vowel first blending. So you could say suffix ing. Let's see if we can blend it. Land, ing, word, landing. So that's the first thing. Teach students to look for prefixes and suffixes at the very first step of the word and then see if they can figure the word out.
All right. So will you just type, actually, let me do this really quickly first. So that's called the peeling off strategy. And some of you may be having students circle the prefix, circle the suffix, and then read the whole word together. So will you just type into the chat box, what are your thoughts about the peeling off strategy or the morphological strategy? Not the syllable base, but looking for the prefix suffix work and the base words and then reading the word. Is it new to you? Are there folks who have been, that's a part of your work with your students as well? Where do you sit with that idea of a peeling off strategy? Yep, it is actually the rewards routine. So that if you are teaching rewards, by the time you get to that multisyllabic routine, indeed, that is the peeling off routine that you are using. Spot the prefixes, suffixes, underline them. Now go back and read the word. Find the base word and go back. Very appropriate, Kristen, for upper elementary. Exactly, for your core group that you have in your classroom, but also for your small group that you have when you are doing your RTI groups. Absolutely, super helpful for older readers and kids who struggle in those older grades. And so I really love the comment, different words will lend themselves to one of the two different strategies. That's kind of the big key for today. Might be too hard. Yeah, could be so, Pam. And if not, no need to use those until you get to those multisyllabic words. 100% right. The idea for today would be that we had, sorry, let me hop past these really quickly, that we have some ability to decide, are we going to use syllable blending routines with the words we have, or are we going to use a morphological approach? So syllable recognition and then syllable blending is really helpful for some words. And then also morpheme blending is also important for words that can reduce those units, and it's more efficient for kids. So the idea was really that we have two, I'm gonna hop past this really quickly, that we have two different strategies that we can use. Nice job, everybody. All right, so one little note before we close our work and do attendance today, and that is that in the springtime, we begin to collect some more implementation data again. So many of you have been videotaping. Awesome job. It is so fun to go in and see all of the videos. So teachers are videotaping and sharing with coaches. Fantastic. We've been looking at not the videos themselves, but looking at the numbers of videos uploaded. Super job. and coaches as well. We have so many coaches in the project who have now submitted that coaching video to us, their coaching video, and then we've been able to meet with them, and it's been fantastic. Really, really fun. So just a reminder that your spring work for teachers, be sure to videotape a 20 to 30-minute lesson, small group typically, using your reset rubric. Look at your own work and kind of score yourself. Give yourself a little bit of a rating on areas where to grow, where areas you were pretty proud of. Then you upload that video into Inside Events, and then you click submit to your coach, not share, submit, because then they can go in and they can use the rubric as well. So coaches, by the end of May, if you could, because most of you are out by the end of May, a few of you in June. So if you could then go in, review that video using that reset rubric, share your comments with them on Inside Events, and then have a coaching session to go over that reset rubric and scoring and video with them. We have had the privilege of enjoying so many coaching videos, and gosh, it's been really, really fun. So just a note of encouragement to be sure that you do that this spring. And this one would use the formal whole reset rubric. All year you use that in the fall, and then all year you've just been coaching on the goals and working on your goals within the rubric. This one is completing that whole reset rubric again, looking for growth and celebrations and all kinds of amazing things. So if you will be sure to do that, that would be fantastic. All right, any questions on that before I go to the attendance for today? And coaches, if you want to submit those to Shelby and ourselves, we will schedule a coaching session with you as well when you videotape a coaching session, and would love to spend time with you. All right, no questions. All right, so I'm going to go this way. Will you type into the chat box maybe something that was learned or something that was confirmed for you today with multisyllabic reading? Something learned or something confirmed for you. Oh yeah, Jennifer, I'm so glad you wrote that in there because I want to talk about that. Great. Nice confirmation of being on track with the upper kids. Good. Using them immediately. So with the folks have said to us, to Shelby and I, could we videotape some really small clips using both of the strategies with a lot of different words? So you could just have a multisyllabic library. So you could just watch every now and then to see, oh, I wonder how you'd break down some of these words. And then just to be able to watch more. So several of you have said, nice to have you show examples. So we will be videotaping little clips of words, maybe 2 or 3 words at a time, and we will put them on the Padlet for today. So when you are like, I just need to watch a little bit more about that syllable blending, go in, see some words in there just to confirm for yourself. Or I'd like to see some more morpheme blending. I want to go into the video library and just look at what that would look like just to get a little bit more familiar. And we'll structure it in a way where you can practice the words that we're doing as well. So that is a piece of work that we will be doing in May and in June. So those will be in there soon. We've had a big requests. Yeah, no problem at all. All right, beautiful job. And then I saw even some of you say with kindergartners using like when you do the suffix s or the suffix es or the suffix ing, being very explicit with kids. Great job. All right, excellent. Thank you so much for being here today. Really appreciate it. I always love seeing your names when you come into the session. Thank you ever so much. Really, really appreciate the time happy multisyllabic wording. And that 17 morphemes was my favorite answer. I will take that and chuckle about it all night. So thanks. That was great. All right, everybody. Have a really great rest of your week. So good to be with you. Give you about 30 more seconds, then I'll close the video. Let me know if the QR code isn't working for you for attendance. All right, everybody. Have a great afternoon. See you later.